by and meet everybody and get ready for our show. See if there are any questions or anything anybody wanted to talk about.
I just thought you were his dad.
Excuse me?
I said, I just thought he was your dad.
Oh, he's my uncle, actually.
Ask questions away, guys. Get him start talking and he won't stop.
Acoustic album?
Excuse me?
Acoustic album?
Oh, yeah, people have been asking about. Yeah, I recorded one about 3 or 4 years ago, and about half of it's pretty good. The other part was like, And I decided when I started, I said, contrary to the way I make records, I wanted to go in and cut it live, just sing it and play it, and it, which really gives it a nice vibe, I'm trying to get away from all the, doing stuff over and over and just being more heady about it and let it be more like a live performance style, because a lot of people have been like saying, hey, yeah, we like what you do, Eric, but you need to become more live and more like your live performances, So I did that on the acoustic album, and about half of it's like pretty good, and the other part sucks. So, but yeah, I want to do that. I really do want to. In fact, we've toured this whole year in Europe and U.S., and so now I'm going to go home and write music and try to come up with a new record. I think I need to work on that acoustic thing too. I'd like to.
Thank you.
And to keep the live idea would be good for that.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
What would be the minimum amp you would choose to just, if you had one? I mean, not a particular kind. I'm saying wattage for you.
Wattage. Well, that's a good question. Mike does sound for us, and recently I've been doing this smaller wattage stuff, and if you run it through the PA, if it's a good sounding amp, it works. Like I've been using some deluxe reverbs in there. 20 watts can work if it's a nice sounding amp. It's a little bit misleading if you're in a big place because you think, it's not going to work, but then if you appropriately put it through the PA, it can work real well. You don't quite get the same sustain, that same, like on the verge of like blowing up thing, but...
Well, I remember on a number of occasions seeing Robin Trower do twins and showman cabinets.
Okay.
And that's Ted Nugent years ago used to do that with twins and showman cabinets,
Sure.
like he used 3 of them, and, instead of Marshall. But it was kind of the same idea, only they didn't mic everything as much.
Right, yeah,
So.
yeah. Now I use the mic and everything, it's kind of overkill sometimes, but...
That's what they come for.
Yeah, there's certain things you can't get out of small amps. But they're after many, many years of playing out of them, just nonstop, they're kind of devastating. It's like, you gotta watch your ears and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Eric,
something to say for that.
how long have you been playing?
Oh man, 40-something years, I guess. Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What got you started?
The ventures really. I mean, my brother had a friend that brought a guitar over and he played it. Actually, when I was 3 years old, a man that was doing some rock work around the house brought a guitar over, and he was playing like Jimmy Reed stuff, and I freaked out over that and just listened to that and wondered what that was, but then never really thought about it until I was like 10 or so. My brother had a friend that came over and had a band, and they were playing all this surf music stuff, and it was just as people that are more our age, it was a whole different time then. I mean, you saw a guitar, and then like nowadays you go to a Guitar Center and it's like a household thing. I mean, back then you'd see a guitar and go, wow, it was just a very esoteric thing that not very many people had, not many people knew about. It was like a real rebel thing, you play guitar. So, and the sound of electric guitar was so new. You'd hear somebody just go whang, and you're like, God, what was that? It's just totally. Whereas now we're a little bit more used to it. So I think, just hearing it, I was like, man, that's just a great sound. And then quickly after, you had the first generation of people really pushing the boundaries, like Jeff Beck with distortion and Hendrix and feedback and all this. Just people were like, the whole idea, because it just been born, and people were like, wow, what do we do if we did this and that? And we make this fuzz, and we can, it was all new. And so you just heard stuff you never heard before. So that really got me started. It was just all new and just strange,
Do your hands ever get sore from playing a lot? And if they do, what do you do about that?
Yeah, they do get sore. I think, just giving it rest, not overdoing it. I think one of the things that makes your hands sore are the repetitive motion of the same. Like if you got a scale or a lick or something, and you keep practicing the same thing over and over with the same, that's going to really make it sore a lot quicker. So if you try different stuff to where you're not using the same position, the same muscle memory all the time, I think that helps a lot. I know that when I'm working on like I have a song on the new record called Fat Daddy, which is kind of this weird kind of thing I have to do, and I know if I'm at home and I haven't played it for a few weeks, and it's kind of difficult for me to play that song, so I'll sit there and practice it for 2 hours. My hand will really hurt because I'm doing that same thing over and over. But if I mix it up with other stuff, and also, I know it's probably a cool look to wear your strap really low, but it's really bad on your wrist. Like if you're trying to do like a lot of interesting voicings, it really works better to wear your strap up high so you look more like Mr. Rogers. But I used to wear my strap really low, and I actually screwed up had to have the sheath and a tendon re-sewn because I ripped it out from trying to, like that. So now I wear my strap higher. So that helps, I think wearing your strap higher.
Thank you.
I know you have your own studio. I read that you use Sonar.
Actually, I use New Window.
Oh, New Window.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. But are you very hands-on with the recording process? Are you heavily involved?
Pretty much. As far as all the mechanics of the digital recording, I understand it all, but I'm not real good on the keyboard of doing it. So I have an engineer that does that.
Oh, okay.
Conceptually, I kind of get it.
Right.
And
do you prefer the sound of the newer digital technology versus the analog?
Well, there's aspects of it that's it's a little more concise and a little bit more. You can create some pretty solid kind of 3D stuff from it because it's so pristine.
Yeah.
But I think as a general rule, if I was to encapsulate it as an overview, I don't think it sounds as good.
Yeah.
And I think where you really hear it is on the top end frequencies, the treble. It's extremely hard to do a sample rate on treble frequencies because of the wavelength. It requires a lot of sampling.
Right.
And so where you'll really hear it is cymbals, piano, acoustic guitar, and the top end. And where it's really evident is when you play music loud. If you listen to a digital recording really loud and you listen to an analog recording, one's more inviting, one's more easy on the ears, the other one's more fatiguing.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost, I kind of think of it like a building. You walk into a building and one's got 18-foot ceilings, the other one has 7-foot ceilings. You still can move around, but you can feel that there's the constriction on the top.
Right,
And that's the way digital is, but it's getting different all the time. I mean, there's DSD technology, direct stream digital, which is a whole nother thing where the sampling is greatly improved. They haven't really made a Pro Tools platform, I don't think yet for that. Or maybe somebody is working on that, but that would be great because that'll make a whole new ballgame.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Where do you draw your inspiration from with your music? It's really beautiful.
Just playing, and
Just comes from your mind, or
just kind of fooling around with the guitar and come up with something I like, that sounds good to the ear, and then listening to other people or just hanging out. Or I think there's a place for any type of art, and because it opens us up and makes us reflect or puts us somewhere emotionally, and I think I think the beauty of it is we can choose what frequency we want to pursue. And I enjoy pursuing a frequency that potentially will make people feel good or inspired my whole thing is, when there's 24 hours a day that we're stressed and we're working hard and life's not easy and we're challenged and we've got all these pitfalls. So if I spend it 16 hours a day fighting life, I don't, okay, now let's go to a movie that's going to really bum me out, there's a place for it. I mean, I think there's a place in it, obviously, but to me, it's like I want a doorway to go somewhere that'll give me some kind of organic medication, where I can go back and kind of maybe,
So you use this to relax?
yeah, and just try to come up with something that, is inspiring or makes you feel good. I mean, it can't hurt, and life's tough enough as it is without adding to the mix, So that's kind of my thing, is I just, I don't think it's a prescription for everybody, but I like to think of lyrics or
There's some
songs.
people who do things differently, and I was just curious about
Yeah, sure.
yours.
Yeah, and it can come from anywhere. Yeah, it can come from anywhere. Kind of different, but sure.
Have you, two-part, have you retired the 54 Strat? And what the dumbbells bring to the table for you?
Well, I had one 54 Strat called Virginia. It was a killer guitar, and I was playing a gig. In fact, I think it was in Ohio somewhere. I don't know, but I fell on the stage and I totally trashed the whole front end of the pick guard thing, and I had it rebuilt, and it didn't quite sound the same. It was still a great guitar, but it didn't quite sound the same. And unfortunately, I sold it to a friend who'll never sell it back to me now because I've been trying to get it back. But I mean, and it was totally fixable. It got fixed. I mean, the guitar wouldn't hurt. It was just the pick guard But I was on this thing of, it's not exactly the same as it was, and I got rid of it. And then later on, I went, that was really dumb, and I can't get it back. But so I wish I hadn't sold the guitar. I don't have a 54 Strat anymore. I wish I. Yeah, but they're a little different than the other years. They're the pitch of the space from here to the strings is a little higher because the necks are a little higher, so they sit out, and that actually affects the sound a little bit. But I'm hoping to find one someday again. I'll probably sell everything I have to get it or something. They're so expensive. Yeah, the Dumble's a great amp. I sold the Dumbles I had too. I still have one Dumble that I lucked into, but I don't really use it, but they're extremely loud. I mean, they're just really loud. They're awesome.
You ever use it that much?
I use it a little bit in the studio, but yeah.
You gotta take them out?
No, I just have a head that it's a really old one that Alex made. They're pretty loud. I don't know how he gets so much volume out of 100. It's like he built a 100-watt amp, but it's like 200 watts. It's like, I don't know how he does it. It's just got 4 6L6 tubes in it. You think, how loud can this be? And it'll just blow away a 100-watt Marshall.
The secret.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing. He's a really genius.
Eric, first of all, I'd like to say thanks for taking time out of your schedule.
Oh,
Being
yeah.
here. There's another tone question like that. This one's about your jazz tone. When you do you string up flat mounts for your jazz tone?
I do a little bit. Yeah, I have an old Gibson L7 that I put flat wounds on. I've always wondered, like my hero, Wes Montgomery, I don't know how he gets that tone in a flat wound, because he gets all the benefits of flat wound, but then he still has this amazing treble on the top of it. It's like I put the flat ones on, they're all bassy sound. I don't know how he did it, but something to do with the way he is in his thumb, I guess.
Are you aware there's a jazz guitarist that's lived in Pittsburgh, in New York, and California, named Eric Johnson,
Yeah.
who plays in the style of Wes Montgomery?
Yeah, and now didn't he move to California or something?
He lives here.
He
lives here.
Yeah, he came back here because I wrote a story when he first came back for it was either in Pittsburgh or City Paper, and he's not having a lot of luck getting gigs. Like, he's not playing regular, but that happens when people move away, no matter how good they are. But I have seen his name lately.
Yeah, if he changed his last name to Clapton, maybe he'd have. Yeah, I have heard about him. I hear he's pretty good.
So one quick question. How many takes did it take you to get the first chord on that White Cliffs of Dover? Because it seems to me, I love it, but it seems to be that, when it comes in, it's so quick. No, I don't mean the stuff before the first nut. I mean the first nut. You know what I'm saying? When you
Just hit the low E, you mean? with the low E on it?
Well, when the drummer comes in, that little microsecond there, because it's really on. I mean, it's.
I think that was pretty quick, you know.
Yeah, it was really quick.
Yeah, I went back and like tweaked a lot of the sections.
Oh no,
you know,
it doesn't
but-
sound unauthentic, but it's so on. It's like
Yeah.
right
I
on.
think I probably lucked out and
It's
got that.
damn near impossible to do
Oh, I
Well, I mean,
I
with
just
the
say a
drum.
couple of Hail Marys and go.
That's what I'm saying. It was so on,
Oh, okay.
and that's.
Probably Tommy was probably like watching me. He was.
Well, what I'm saying, if you don't have that first note, well, I mean, I can't play it, but it would be really difficult to do
Yeah,
with a drummer, unless he was a genius, like he had to have 8 arms or whatever like that. He's great, really nice.
On the Cliffs of Dover, when you were writing that, did you have any inkling or anything that, this song's going to be special and it was going to explode the way it did?
Not at all. In fact,
I mean, that riff is so catchy and everything. The main.
No, we actually, I wrote that song years before it was going to be on Tones, and we were working on it, and the people making the record, the producers went, I don't think we'll put that on. It sounds like a game show theme.
Oh, jeez. Good thing you decided against that.
And I was kind of like, we had too many songs on Tones. So I was like, well, we were going to put Manhattan in because I had both of those, but they didn't get on Tones. But no, I didn't really have any idea that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was one of the tunes that just, you kind of wrote in 5 minutes, and you just
I never thought that. 5 minutes, that's
That was a pretty good 5 minutes.
pretty good 5-minute thought there.
I just spent 3 months on that. What the heck is that? That sucks.
What was the amp you used on that song for the recording?
It was a Marshall 100 and a 412 cabinet.
Yeah.
And I still have that head. It's a great head.
Yeah.
And I still use it sometimes.
No master volume, right?
No, I use it if the place is big enough, but yeah, and I cut that on a 335 actually. The intro is the intro before the band comes in is a Strat.
Okay.
It's a 54 Strat, and then if you listen at the very end, you'll hear the tone change on the lead. I don't know if you can hear. There's a place where you just hear the tone change a little bit, and it's actually because. The first part of the solo on the 335 wasn't any good, so I punched it in, and I punched in with the Strat, and then I punched out it. And Richard Muller was like, "You can't do that." It was like literally a Strat with a 2-driver, and it punched into like a 335, and it really did sound different.
Yeah.
And the way we just thought, well, it'll just sound like I hit a button, like I hit a buzz, and then once we started thinking that, we thought, yeah, it just sounds like you were playing along and then hit a.
Right.
But if you listen to it, you can tell.
That's
It's
cool.
like 2 different guitars.
Awesome.
Yeah, are there any songs that you've released, then looking back years later, that you wish you maybe would have taken it to a different direction?
Oh,
that
yeah.
you cringed and stuff?
Well, and I think that, I spend a lot of time on the records, and I'll get people, or like magazines or whoever, they'll go, yeah, really nice record, but it sounds like you worked on it too long. It sounds a little, you know what I mean? So I hear some of my music, and I hear like I would have definitely taken a different direction, maybe, a little bit more raw, maybe a little more vibe to it, Because I think, it's that thing where you're trying to get the performance up, and as you get the performance up, you start losing some of that spontaneity. So I think that's more an issue for me now, is trying to figure out a way to get more spontaneity in the studio.
The reason I was asking is, you released a song on the Bloom album called Good to Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard a version about 8 years prior to that you did that was a lot more raw.
Yeah.
Then it seemed that when you went to the studio, then you added the talk box, and it just seemed like you just threw everything in the kitchen sink. I just didn't know, like, if you would ever look back.
Yeah,
I wish you would have
that
stripped that
particular
down a little
one, the
more.
guy that mixed the song, he totally did that all on his own. I sent him the song, and he was like, you mind if I just totally take a new direction on this? And I said, sure, whatever, that's fine. He sent it back, and I kind of liked it. I thought it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of humorous, I played it for my mom. She hated it. She's like, what did you do? And I could see how, because if looking at it seriously, it was like, what happened to that, But it was more like just a humorous kind of. But yeah, originally that song was a little more rock.
Do you ever get to a point where you just hit a wall and you just feel kind of blah? And if you do, how do you get over it?
On guitar? Oh yeah, definitely. I think everybody does. I think think you got to force yourself to just play stuff you don't know and go out on a limb and make mistakes and just if we play for many years, we learn a certain alphabet that becomes us, and then we just kind of rehash that alphabet, and then in our mind decides, oh, that's what I am, that's what I know, this is me, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's years of formulating this concept of what we are, and that's great because we build up a library of what we are. But I think it's bad because in the way it can be detrimental is that it can really limit us, because then we start acting out and playing out from that box. So I think if we make a conscious effort to just not allow ourselves to be too comfortable, and we just kind of like go somewhere you start listening to music you don't normally listen to that has a little different slant to it, just kind of anything that'll shake up that comfort zone, I get that way all the time, we're playing the same thing, and you can kind of force yourself to just try something different.
I studied the Austin City Limits performance that you did for Eclipse of Over, and that was what you barred the third fret. And I've seen a lot of transcriptions now that are like hammer-ons and pull-offs. Do you bar that third fret for the intro riff?
For the intro, you mean Eclipse of Over?
Yeah.
Did that do a bar?
Yeah. Because I've seen people where they just pull off on the middle straight and on the performance you get like a bar of the three, and you just shifted your middle finger.
I don't know, maybe I don't know. I'm not sure what I do on that. Let me see if I can figure it out. I also use my thumb, which you're not supposed to do that. Some chords like that. I say don't do that, but it sounds. To me, if I played this chord, like, it doesn't sound right. And I started noticing Hendrix played bar chords like this. You hear the difference? It sounds better. It sounds more. I know you're not supposed to use your thumb.
He stole that from Mike Turner.
Are you serious?
The thumb, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He played with Ike and Tina son.
Oh, yeah.
He stole that from Mike. Ike had a big thumb.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, you never see classical players do that. Yeah. That'd be like, oh man, that's totally wrong. Yeah.
You still live in Austin, and over the years, have you thought that's helped or hurt your career by not going to Nashville or LA or New York? Or?
I think in some ways it probably has hurt it, I did live in New York for a while in the late 70s, and sometimes I think if I had stayed there, because a lot of things were really working out, and then I signed with some management that was back in Texas, and it still worked out, but it kind of slowed things down.
Yeah.
And I think things are accelerated if you're in the right place. And also just being around, like I go to New York a couple times a year, and I'll hang out for a couple weeks, and I'll jam with people and record or do gigs around the area, and I know it's just being around that kind of artistry, and people really kicks you in the rear, It's like Yeah, so I think that, you know, but then in other ways, who knows? Maybe you burn out, or you know what I mean. It's like I think there's two sides to everything, and I've always enjoyed living in Texas, and because we've always traveled a lot, so it's always been a nice place to come back to.
So I read somewhere that there's more guitar players in Austin per capita than anywhere in the world, including Nashville.
Could be, yeah. There's even when I was a kid, I remember there was, and I think maybe that's another reason I got interested in guitar when I was a kid. I mean, when I was 14, I remember going to hear great guitar players like Johnny Richardson, Johnston Haley, and all these guys.
Guys we never heard of.
Smoking players just in the clubs.
Yeah.
So there was and the first time I ever went to Los Angeles, it wasn't the same. I was like, wow, where are all the great, you know what I mean? It was like, it's always been like a little burgeoning pocket, and I'm not sure why.
Can you talk a little about your signature strat, your thought process behind it?
Yeah, yeah, it was an attempt to kind of put back some of the stuff Leo Fender had in the 50s that kind of got lost. And then the other issues that I wanted to address was a little flatter board so you didn't fret out, you know, like on the curved strat when you like that, it just spreads out, you know. So I wanted to make it a little flatter there, and I wanted to get rid of the string tree because that's a real so we made this thinner so that the angle would go down when you wouldn't need a string tree, and then just made this pick up a little hotter. Because the thing I like strats, but I've always had an issue with the bridge pickup that it's never hot enough.
Have you always done voicings?
Excuse me?
Have you always done voicings?
Voicings?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you gradually grow into those, or?
Yeah.
Or you've always done it?
I think I've grown into it more. Because, you know, it's like, really, you mean like chord voicings? Yeah. Yeah, to me it's, I look at it a little different now because it's really just like taking a chord and just adding a little thing at a time, you know what I mean? Like if, you know, any chord, take a simple, I can just turn it into, take make it a minor seventh, and if I wanted to add a fourth, and all of a sudden I want to add like a minor third on the bottom, now I've got this chord. I mean, like three small steps, and the chord's totally different. The chord started there, you know what I mean? So that always kind of fascinated me, that I could just move my fingers around. Just a few little changes here and there come up always. I've always kind of, and it was from playing piano too.
Silly question. Do you really hear the voltage in batteries?
No, they don't. You know, they don't.
Look at all the
There's
magazines.
a rumor that you can hear the difference between like a door cell and an energizer, for example.
Well, the truth of the thing is that a battery is like a transformer and an amplifier. So it's not really detectable on a clean tone, but if you're getting a super distortion tone, that's going to be affected by the transformer of the pedal, you know, so to speak. So the way you create voltage in a distortion pedal will be affected by the type of battery you put in it. You know, as far as it being like a huge difference, I don't think it's a real huge difference, but you know, that whole battery thing happened. My involvement in that battery thing was a 5-minute thing 30 years ago, which I had an alkaline Duracell and I had a regular battery, and I noticed in this two screamer that one sounded better than the other. And so I went, cool, okay, well I'll just use Duracells because it seems to work better than the other, and I never thought about it again. And then that turned into, did I try out 30 different types of battery every time I changed the fuzz? And I changed it, I can hear the voltage.
And you don't hear 6 versus 9 volts.
Well, I mean, you can hear a battery getting dead, but I can't say, I think that's 6.3.
That's what I mean.
That's what I mean. Well, I think it all became, it kind of got turned into this thing.
Blown out of proportion.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, it's you can smell the batteries in the cupboard. It's ridiculous, but they do make a little bit of difference. And in fact, there's a company now that makes batteries for guitar pedals.
Pedals?
I want to call those up and I don't think they make any difference what you. Everybody starts giving me trouble. I said, well, call these guys.
Yeah.
Probably get an endorsement real easy from that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Just as a side note, the most emailed article today on the New York Times website is about the Fender company that's struggling to stay in business. It's called "A Guitar Maker Aims to Stay Plugged In."
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Yeah.
they're saying that the industry's gotten fickle on them.
Yeah, I think they got so big and so expensive to run that business that you can run into the pitfalls with that too. Yeah, absolutely.
We got time for one more question.
All right.
Who are you listening to, or most recently, what guitarist have you heard that none of us know that has impressed you?
Oh, you know, there's a kid in Austin named Carson Brock. He's a really fine player. He's like 17 years old, and he's really great. I think he's very. And I don't know if you've heard of this 21-year-old kid, Joe Robinson. He's really Robinson. Joe Robinson. Australian. He's Australian. I mean, he plays acoustic like Tommy Emmanuel, but then he picks up electric and he sings and plays pop songs like John Mayer or something. I think he's going to probably do really well. He's very good.
Was that a relation to Kyle Brock? Who used to play
Yeah, it's Kyle.
Is it?
Yeah, all right.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, Kyle used to deal when Carson was 2 years old. As soon as Kyle would leave the room, he'd drag all his bases out of the closet and sit there and try to hold them and play them. And then he used to watch all our videos and stuff. And he's always been really into it. Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you guys. We gotta have to keep Eric on schedule, so I apologize for being a jerk, but I'm getting.
Hopefully,
I'm
some of
getting
y'all can come to the show tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be there.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.